Welcome to the Empower Me Show with Pam Bright. This show is all about honoring you as a spiritual being, having a human experience. You are here for a reason, and it's no mistake that you are here on earth right now. Spirit has guided you to this very moment in time, so you could hear the messages Pam is about to share with you. She is a multidimensional healer, light language channel, transformation coach, wife and mother, committed to helping you discover the tools and practices to empower you to live the best life you can. You get to choose the spirit path you take. You can connect to the spiritual guidance already all around you. Get ready to live a fully empowered life. This is the Empower Me Show.
Hello and welcome to the Empower Me Show. I am Pam Bright. I am your host for this program, and I am here every week, Thursdays from noon to 1 Pacific time. So if you're listening to this in any other time zone, welcome. You know, whenever you listen to it is perfect. We are all over the world, so welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. If you're listening in Australia or New Zealand or the UK or anywhere else that might be broadcasting this, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. So Brigitte, thank you so much for coming. Now, I heard myself say Brigitte. So are you actually French?
My mother's French. Yeah, my family is on my mother's side is French.
That must have been what I picked up because I was in my mouth and I'm like, interesting. Okay, she must have some French in her. Good.
You said it right. I'm so impressed.
Well, you know, you wouldn't know it that I actually took 4 years of French in high school, but but somehow it kind of came back. So anyway,
yeah, I grew up in the South, and I did not understand how to say it. And I won't tell you how I thought my mother was saying. It sounds like a curse word.
Well, you know, you and I are here together now, so we can say it however it works for you.
Okay.
All right. So I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that our paths have crossed. And I want the audience, the listeners, to know that Brigitte is actually a survivor. And she has been through many, many, many diagnoses in her life from doctors and from physicians and from the medical community that really put her into a tailspin for quite a long time. And when I say she's a survivor, she's one of those rare people that didn't necessarily take it at face value, the information that she was getting. And so she did some research to discover some different interesting things about herself and what was available in health. And I can tell you that I'm very excited to hear her story and very excited to interview her, because I know from my own experience that there's a lot of things happening in the world that don't necessarily fit into the constructs that we've had as a society on this planet. So lots and lots of new innovations are showing up, new technologies are showing up. Many people are discovering ways of healing themselves that haven't necessarily been in existence before. And so I'm excited to go on this journey with you this hour. Before we get started, I'd like all of us to just take a breath and let go of anything, anything that's happened in your day so far that has been before. The way that we can do that is simply to announce it to our body system. All right. Our body system is an electrical current that runs through us that has knowing, has energy, has love and light that is inside of our systems. So when we connect to that essence within, we actually get to connect to every system around us that can be interconnected with our lives, and we get to receive support from every direction, including the God source, if you choose to believe in that. So I'm going to allow myself to connect in with my body and my breathing and my knowing self And I invite you to do the same. Just bring in that breath, that sacred breath, into where you live, in any part of your body that feels like a little uncomfortable, distressed, needs a little nourishment. Maybe bring some more love into that area. And as you focus there, I'm going to use some light language, which helps to bring it all together into the body system as code. It's code from the star systems. It's code from the different planets that we're connected to, even ones that we're not necessarily connected to in this solar system. We have access to them because we're multidimensional beings. So let's connect in with those now. We ask those light beings to enter into this space through Pam. Eraise tabarakia maki namaka enamaki ade dabasana makiata etatanamasete namamanete namakiata data. Now you may feel them coming in through the top of the head. I just felt them coming in through the top of my head, bringing it all the way down through my central column and into my body. You might also connect in with your feet. You can tap the bottoms of your feet a little bit if you want and ask them to come in that way. Nasanamenekia mamaikia papapane shinamaite mamamasta e tutumana ita mamamana ita ramamama. They're coming in from the earth that way. No sinamamana ki itina mama ina mamama. You also may bring them in this way from any direction, asking the beings that surround you to come into your body system. Nesanamanakia mama enunu mama ite unesanamaki atanakisa hutesanamai nemaiki chinamayana. So as I'm doing this, I'm pulling in any support that wants to come in to assist me today. And I'm asking them to come in consciously so that I can be conscious of my beingness, my experience in this life, allowing myself to really be supported by every single aspect of support that's available to me, including those that work in the medical field, in technology, in the churches, if that's what you choose to connect to, the churches or the synagogues or the temples. We ask the trees and the waters to also enter in. And allow all of that to just fill you up. There's no need to understand it or figure it out. It's just codes that are coming in. All love and light for you. You can ask those codes to simply connect in with every body system, every part of you, to give you information and energy for your day. And when you're ready, come back here into your body. You might want to move yourself a little bit so that you come back in fully and open your eyes when you're ready. Welcome back. Hello, hello. So I am talking to Brigitte, who is here, Brigitte, who is here to talk to us about your journey. So tell us a little bit about, in the AA world, they say what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. So those are three kind of aspects of this journey that would be a great way to start anyway, and then we can go from there.
Well, it all started before I turned 40, right? I had my doctor had, my OBGYN had breast cancer. She had like stage 2 or 3, I don't remember. So she recommended at my age to go get a mammogram, right? Before I was 40. They were wanting you to have like baselines and stuff like that. And so I did. How fantastic. And then a few years later, I went to get another one because I was in my 40s. I was 41. And that's when they discovered something odd that wasn't there before. That's why they have the baseline. And I didn't know, I didn't have any issues. And I was raising 2 boys at the same time and traveling a lot for business for my company. Anyway, it turned out that what they found in the mammogram was a small, tiny tumor. And it turned out to be, they did testing, it was breast cancer. And so I saw a specialist on that. And I'm like, what the heck, right? How did this happen to me? So we ended up doing like a lumpectomy to take it out, and then needed to go back again because you have to have like a clear margin. I'm familiar with that kind of stuff. You have to have a certain clear margin. It wasn't a clear margin after the first time. So they tested it and it was considered aggressive. I'm like, how did this happen? Because I've always done the right thing, eating right. And I thought I was eating right. And later I learned that I had a dairy allergy. I mean, it's casein protein, but that was down the road later, just because I kept asking questions. Why is this happening? And I think one of the reasons the dairy issue is my body never wanted it, or I didn't, but you were told that you had to eat it, right? So the marketing aspect, you got to have dairy for this and that. Anyway, they had 2 little lumpectomies, and this doctor was a researcher. So I decided to choose doctors who are researchers, who are open to different things, not just the things in a box, right? And I ended up getting this one thing I wish I hadn't had. I had radiation to my chest for a little bit, just because it was considered aggressive. And it wasn't worth a mastectomy or anything. But then my hormones, they did my hormone test on me too. And that's what's related to my pituitary. And prolactin levels were really high. Prolactin is what creates breast milk, and that's kind of related to the kind of cancer that I had. And then my growth hormones were high too, which can cause, saying it can make cancer grow. And so this doctor decided or recommended I get an MRI of my brain to check out my pituitary tumor. My pituitary. That's what we discovered. I had a teeny tiny tumor on my pituitary, but a bigger tumor in the back of my head, which grew really slowly. So your body can accommodate to that. And it's very rare. It's a primary brain tumor. They believe mine was caused by radiation. It's an environmental issue, right? I was exposed to something in the environment. But it grew slow, and that was rare. We didn't know what to do. That was 3 years after that first breast cancer. And so I had to find, I saw multiple specialists, and there weren't any in Atlanta. This is where I live, the area, that knew what to do. Because they're like, and so ended up finding a doctor in Chicago who specialized in this kind of rare tumor. I think it's Northwestern University Hospital, and he specialized in it. So he made me feel a little bit better. I had someone come with me. Don't ever go to those appointments, something like that, by yourself, right? And so he said he saw the MRIs, images, and he said it was going to be all right. And he didn't recommend surgery. And the type of treatment he recommended was called gamma knife, which is like a targeted radiation. But there's a newer version that came out in that same time frame called cyber knife, which they had here in one of the hospitals connected to one of my doctors, right? I joked that I see so many doctors that they're part of my social group, right? I have to see so many doctors. So anyway, I talked to a neurosurgeon too, and he said he would not do surgery either, but he would monitor it for me. So that made me feel good, right? Because the risk of the surgery would have been paralysis, really high risk for that because of the location. It pushed on my brainstem. It made a dent in it. My husband, we joked about it. He said it was very sexy. We had to, I had to bring some humor into it. So I decided to go with what's called the cyber knife. It was new technology at the time, and the health insurance company, paid for it 100%. They weren't sure if they would because it was new. And so I was grateful for that. And it shrunk the tumor. That made me really hard. It was hard to be honest with you, walk properly for a while after that, because it does cause some, even though it's super targeted to that particular tumor. And it's at 2.5 centimeters by that point, because it's almost the size of a golf ball. But it did shrink. Then at the same time, I'm seeing all the, the endocrinologist to help with the hormones, and the breast cancer doctor, and the OBG, everybody's specialist. But my hormones from that tiny tumor I had on my pituitary it was still like wacky. Do you know what I'm saying? And then, I shouldn't say wacky, but they gave me some medicine to try to treat that. But all that did was make me a little bit too hyper. I already have high metabolism, and I don't drink a lot of caffeine. I can't handle it. So then my first breast cancer was at the age of 41, then the brain tumor at 44, and then I got breast cancer again. We discovered it. I discovered it actually when I was 48.
So let's back up a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
So all of this is happening
In my 40s.
to you physically.
Yes.
What's happening to Brigitte mentally and emotionally?
Well, I
during
was
that time?
I was listening to I had some pain, and I was tired, right? And I knew I had to find an answer I knew what they were telling me. Some doctors just want to give me pain medicine. And I was writing a lot, journaling about stuff at the end of the day, what I was learning. And the brain tumor stuff scared me a whole lot more than the breast cancer, right? It's really scared me. And I did start doing more yoga and meditation in that. And I also I'm a long-time runner, but I couldn't run going through all this stuff with the brain stuff, right? You have to, balance was off. So that wasn't helpful. But my beacon was watching my sons. When this all was discovered, they were 8 and 11 at the time. So they were I'm going to be there for them. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. That's kind of what I would tell myself. And I'm so glad I had good support from family and friends.
Oh, I'm sure. And how was it affecting them? I think
it's probably pretty hard on my husband, probably. He was the brave one, right? And for a while, I couldn't work much. I mean, I did work, but traveling, my role was back then, I traveled a lot, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. So the traveling had nothing to do with getting cancer. It had something to do with this stuff going on in the brain tumor is what caused all this stuff. And that's, my doctors called me a zebra among horses, because they're like, because she doesn't fit. I didn't fit anything, right? Anything that they were taught in medical school. And I thought that was I'm like, I said, please put humor into this stuff. And that's why I'm like, I'll be a zebra, right? And that's really what it was. It was scary. I was scared. But I think doing meditation and being outside in nature helped a lot deal with it each day. I accept and appreciate every single day. That's kind of what I did. And seeing my son. Yes, my sons were my beacon, and my husband too. And
so with your sons and your husband, and you were writing and meditating, doing what you could. What was happening with your friendships at that time, and what was happening with you?
People were checking on me to make sure that, because I was honest. I don't say it and tell everybody right away. I would just tell certain people. And my best friend from high school, she came with me to Chicago for this, because my husband had to stay home with the boys. You know what I'm saying? Someone had to be with them. And so she was a good person to support, because she was like, because they didn't know what to do with this. And I think what scared me more was the doctors who were like, oh, let's just go do surgery, when my gut said, hell no. Right. And that's when I trusted that neurosurgeon when he said I would not do this because he wasn't there to do, you know what I'm saying, looking for whatever, a project, because it was risky. So I learned to ask a lot of questions, and that's just my personality, I think, to ask questions before I jump into a solution. You got to look at options.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's something that's really important for people to get is just because you're given, would you say that this was a terminal diagnosis? Was this something that you're like?
No, it could have been if I had ignored it. My brain tumor is the one that was more dangerous because if it had been 3 centimeters, they would have had to remove it. Right? Okay. And so it was right at the border. Yeah.
So here Brigitte is in the middle of her 40s and getting these diagnoses as a mom of still very young ones.
Yeah. Well, they're teens. Early teens.
Yeah. That's a time when kids really need their moms.
Yes.
And wondering, okay, now what? Right. But something in you, what I hear is that something in you knew that you had to take the reins with your own health and your own well-being. So here's what my message is to those of you who are listening. You know that I'm an advocate for each of us making our own selves our authority, okay? It does not mean to ignore the doctors. That is not what I'm saying, and I never will. What I'm saying is now is the time to have discretion. Now is the time to look for options. Now is the time to reach out farther than you've ever reached out for support and allow yourself to delve deeply into, boy, you know, what if I were to take a holistic approach to my well-being, which is what I talk about with the full body system wellness, which is it's everything. We're all in this together. So we've got to take our physical selves, our human selves, our emotional bodies, our mental bodies, our beliefs, reaching out to every single support structure to bring all of that into our health journey. So it sounds like that's what you took on as kind of your project.
I did end up going to see, also included a holistic endocrinologist, because he's the one that discovered this dairy issue that I had. Some of the other doctors, like, yeah, whatever. Like, no, something is not right. You know, still something it's when your body's trying to fight this cancer, then you're putting stuff in your body you shouldn't be, you know what I'm saying? Just stuff like that. It's overwhelming the immune system. So I saw him, and we did multiple tests, and he's like, you should, you know, he discovered the dairy thing, and my thing creates body aches and pains, right? It's not, some people think it's lactose. No, it's casein protein. You ever heard of that sensitivity? And it's the, like the chunk in cottage cheese. I'll eat that, but I mean, not now, but I did. The reason that we didn't have a connection is it takes about 4 hours for your body to start digesting that, right? That's why it was hard to find the correlation. So I included that. And then after, then I got checked out nutrition. I got certified in that. I want to make sure it all makes sense. Brigitte always wanted to eat vegetables. Brigitte never really wanted to eat dairy, right? But I was just eating what was, you know, what they're telling you to. And right. That's the downside of, but I think it's being people more open. Even the medical area is being more open to that now, how diet is affecting. And then about 4 or 5 years later, after the brain tumor stuff, the breast cancer came back. And that's where, like, I'm the one that discovered it, because it was in my armpit, but it wasn't in my lymph node. I didn't know there's such a thing called your breast tail. There's a breast tail, part of your breast tissue goes into your armpit. And I found that. And I'm like, at first, I'm like, this is weird. I thought it was a cyst. So we checked it out, and it turned out to be the cancer came back. And again, it's because my hormone levels were just funky, right? And I ended up, they tested my lymph nodes. My lymph nodes are fine, but I had to have the surgery. So I decided I'm not dealing with this crap anymore. And I had a double mastectomy on my 49th birthday because I saw it as starting over in life. I saw it as being, I had to look at that. Yes, the future is new. It's all good. And I had, it was a little complicated, but it worked out fine. And then when they removed it, they did a oncotype testing, and it was aggressive. And so I decided, all right, crap. So I looked at different options. I decided to go the chemo route and doing the new nutrition stuff. And I'm just fine. And we weren't sure what it would do, if it would awaken the brain tumor again. And it did not. But what really, my hormones finally and the brain tumor settled, and it's all normal. After I got, after all that cancer, the last cancer, I got a tetanus booster shot, which my OBGYN recommended it because it's being repurposed for brain tumors. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And that's what really normalized everything in my hormones in my brain. Isn't that funny?
Wow. Interesting.
And so I listened to her. But she's a doctor I like, because she and I have her mobile, we can call each other. And, but she understood because she dealt with it as well. Cancer.
I got that. Wow.
And so I trusted those kind of doctors who let me ask questions. And it's, the whole thing it was weird. My whole 40s, my 50s have been just fine. And, the downside of chemo, I lost my hair and it was risky. However, we didn't know, even though my lymph nodes were clean, it still could have gotten somewhere else in my body. You just don't know. But I was eating right, and I was a good role model at the chemo pod. I call it the chemo pod. They tell you got to eat right, eat healthy. But people were donating Coke and cookies, and that's okay sometimes, but not when you're going through chemo, right? You got to help your body heal. So that I learned all this stuff. I try to pass that on with the nutrition aspect, and everybody is just amazed about all that. And then I had to, after all those surgeries and the chemo, I ended up I said, I want to run again. Doggone it. Because I love to run, and I couldn't run for a while. So I had physical therapy. I said, please. And the physical therapist was a runner too. So she understood the desire. But that to me is a mental thing too. I mean, I don't run marathons. People think I'm like, no, it's something I just love it. I always have since I was young. And that was my go-to. And it's something I do on trails, not on the street or busy road.
Okay.
I love to be outside. To me, someone said this to me the other day. I didn't think about it. Like looking at trees. I always like to look at trees. I think that is something you get something from. I don't know, a spirit from the trees. I don't know what it is. I love trees.
Yeah. So we're gonna take a break, and we'll be right. And we'll be back in a couple minutes. And we want to hear more. I want to hear more about your connection to the trees, and and it's interesting. I want to hear more about your running, because it seems to me like it's much more than just getting some exercise for you. So we'll be right back, and we'll find out about these things like that have been helping bring Brigitte back to the world of health and the world of really owning her well-being. We'll be right back. The Empower Me show, we are talking to Brigitte about her health journey and her challenges with her own health, with cancer and with a brain tumor, and not just once with breast cancer, but twice. And really, here she is. She's alive, and she's vital, and she's ready to take on the world, and has survived. And it's no small thing to look at your diagnosis and then realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm a person that gets to make choices here. So I don't have to just take what they tell me and run with that. I can actually listen to myself, listen to my own body, and listen to the innate wisdom that is within it. So let's focus on that for a minute. What was your body? You said your body, you always wanted to eat vegetables. So your body, would you say that that started when you were very young, that
Yes.
you already knew,
Yes.
like, this is what really feeds my body system?
Correct.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, people kind of, my mom called me the rabbit growing up because I was wanting to eat. I just had, maybe partly has to do with, I like being outside and being around plants and trees, I had mentioned earlier, but I craved vegetables. I never really craved beef. I mean, that's just not, everybody's system is different. And I'm glad I listened to that. And I do eat a lot of it. And I try to cook a lot at home and feed that to my sons, try to get them to like it. And because you have to me, it's a habit too. And I think maybe my mom ate vegetables too, but not at the level I did. For some reason, I needed it more. And just like caffeine is not good for everybody, and it's not good for me. And so you got to listen to that. And that's part of it, listening to your body. The one thing that is not good for me that I did not listen to my body was eating dairy, because I didn't start eating that more until I was an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And it's addicting. Dairy can be addicting, right? And because of my issue with it, we didn't make the connection. I didn't have, like, some people have lactose intolerance and they get diarrhea from that. Like, I never had that problem. It was these weird body aches. And so I listened to my body. I'm a believer in trying to find the cause, what's causing this, rather than treating the symptom, right? And that's what
Absolutely.
and that's what was going on. And I had these weird body aches. But I think the brain tumor stuff, I'm so glad that I pushed the buttons, asking the questions. I was one pushing the buttons, like, this ain't right with me. And they did genetic testing. Nothing from, was negative, meaning some people are genetically prone to breast cancer. And it turns out the brain tumor was behind it. And it is like I said, I saw so many specialists because I was open. I wanted to learn. I wanted to help heal and find a solution or solutions. It's not just one. And so that's why I take different aspects. And not only did I learn to follow my mind and my body and what to eat, there's also telling me to get up and move, because moving can help you heal. And that's
perfect.
That's kind of, I think I listened to my body. Yeah, sometimes you can be lazy. I shouldn't say lazy. It's all right to be restful and not move all the time, but you got to do it a little bit each day, is what I learned. And there is the science behind exercise too. It helps you with healing. It helps. There's I can't give a specific study, but it helps with when you have a brain tumor. It helps your brain. It helps when you're dealing with breast cancer. It helps with cancer. And you just need those particular movement.
Yes. So the brain, we know that the brain has two different hemispheres that it works with. And there has been some science about when we connect the right and left hemispheres together, and we do what's called crossover movement. Brain gym is an example of that, where we cross over our body parts. And I understand that running is a lot like that too. You're moving different ways. And I don't know anybody that can run without moving their arms at the same time.
Right.
You're automatically doing that.
It's automatically, right. And you got to make sure you're focused on your posture properly, because if you're hunched over, you could end up, but I've always liked it. And maybe that's just my body. They believe I was probably exposed to radiation as a child, because I was raised around the military bases. I'm an Army brat. So they don't know for sure, but it just makes sense. And I've always wanted to, I don't know, I just like running. And my recent book that I wrote, I noticed so many people, as we've aged, we slow down, which is fine, but also where I think our culture is too sedentary. I think, in my opinion, we sit too much in front of looking at screens. And that was my body and my brain saying, tell me to get up and move. And that's one of the reasons why I like being outside of nature. I'm just connected to it. I'm not somebody who'd like to go on a walk on a treadmill. No, thank you. That's just, it doesn't help Brigitte.
Yeah,
So that's
got it.
And I've always loved dogs. I've connected to something. My energy is connected to animals and nature. And I throw my running in with it. And I hike a lot too. I don't run every day anymore. I can't do that anymore because I don't want to injure myself, right? Because I'm almost 60 now. Oh my God. But I'm still here. So I've got dogs, and they remind you to be in the moment when you walk them. That's how I look at it. They're not always in a rush. You know what I'm saying? They have to sniff everything. So
they're your teachers. They're
my teachers.
Like.
Yeah, they're teaching us. I got my husband. He loves to go on walks with me and the dogs.
That's
And
great.
I spoil them. He trains them properly. I'm the spoiler, but it's just something that connects me and my husband together.
Yeah, that's perfect. So tell us about the trees. Tell us about your connection to the trees.
I've always been fascinated with them since I was a kid. I don't know why. And I just look at it. Yeah, I just see energy coming out of it. It's just the only way I can explain it. And I get sad when I see people cutting trees down because we need those trees. They are so important to the environment, to animals and to humans. People, yeah, that's another story. But I've always, deep down, I just prefer that nature. And I know people keep, building, and they need more housing. However, it's just sad that they're doing that. And we need the trees, we need the birds. That's how it is. It's connecting us with the other life forms. And
of course, Well, and when what I hear is, oh, you're conscious about the connection. Yes. And more and more of us are realizing how connected we actually are. Yes. And it's up to us. It's up to the humans. I mean, yes, of course, animals and plants and trees and every other being that's on the planet, they know how to take care of themselves. They do. It's part of who they are. And if there's a part of you, listener, who says, oh, that's so sad, I wish it wasn't that way. Right. My invitation to you is look again at your own life and say, what can I do? What part do I play in the saving of the trees, or the saving of the rainforests, or the saving of the waters, or, whatever it is that you feel passionate about that, oh, so sad that's happening. Look at what part you can play in that healthy well-being of the planet. And so let's go back to that energy of the trees. Okay. I believe, and I have talked about this, and many people do think about, there's energy in everything that exists on the planet. So if you see energy, great. That's awesome. If you can only feel energy, awesome. If you have a visual of it, that's really cool, right? Maybe it's that you touch the water and you get a sensation of, wow, it's alive, right? Yeah. You can also do that with the trees. Are you a tree hugger?
Yes, I've hugged trees. I like, if a tree does get like a wind, big strong wind might break it over, you have to like move it, but we always like to leave the stump, you know what I'm saying? I don't know why. I think it helps the other animals and insects and things like that. And I'm not, the downs, like my neighborhood, some neighbors, we let our grass grow a little crazy, but whatever. I'm not my mother-in-law was a environmentalist for the state of, she was like head of environment, I can't even say the state of Wisconsin. So I learned a lot from her. So it's just, maybe that's why I connected with my husband, you know what I'm saying? And I learned a lot from her about all the chemicals. There's just so many things we can go down, but think about that. The chemical stuff can hurt people and give them cancer. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's how I see it.
Okay.
And
well, so you're an educator. So what I hear is that you now, would you say that that's kind of a cause for you now, is to be an educator about what to look out for and maybe kind of listen to your innate wisdom about what is happening on the planet?
Yes, it is important. I have my brother's best friend was involved in got cancer really bad. He had a landscaping business, so he got exposed to all kinds of chemicals. The same with, so that's why you want to just tell people to be careful, and that's why I don't like stuff sprayed on my lawn, because I have dogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the yard looks pretty with little weeds, and I'm sorry, that's just how it doesn't have to be perfect, but I don't want the dogs getting sick. I don't want them bringing into the house.
Right.
So because you're right, you're around these animals too, especially dogs and cats too. Cats, some people keep them inside a lot, which is fine, and then some people have them in and out, but they're gonna get around chemicals too. So if you have pets, that's what I worry about. We're just, as a human, we need to do the right thing, and that's why I keep our yard. We don't put a bunch of chemicals on it,
Mm-hmm. Well, it's really about conscious living. It's really about raising our consciousness to, what is this thing that I'm doing in my life and on a habitual basis? Is it actually creating health on the planet, or is it diminishing it?
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing, is it's up to us to really check in with our own wisdom. And if we don't know and we wonder about this thing that we're doing or ingesting or inhaling or whatever it is, then ask questions. Right. Ask a lot of questions. So in the last little bit here, before we need to end, what is it like now for Brigitte? Now that you are almost 60, right? And you are living life with your kids and your husband and your dogs. What is life like now? And what are you doing from the experience in your life?
Well, I started my own business, and it actually happened when I was going through the last cancer treatment.
And what's your business called?
It's called Gemini Media, and my background is in publishing and communications, and it was my clients who convinced me. They trusted me. And so that helped me with the healing aspect too. I still okay, I do have some value I can provide, and they let me know that. And I've always liked writing and things like that, telling stories. And that's kind of why it just came back to me. I did that as a kid. And so I'm doing that now, and I'm running as often as I can. I got involved with the Atlanta Track Club, and I'm one of the coaches. Isn't that hilarious? And but it's not marathon stuff. It's just some people, they want to get into running, and you got to do some certain little simple things. But I like doing that. I like to help people with that, and I do help understand the fueling aspect, for runners and exercise. You got to fuel properly before and after you do anything. You also have to, I should use the word nutrition, sorry, but and then you have to make sure you make time. I make time for resting, and I still do yoga And during COVID, I stopped going to my Pilates classes because they shut everything down. But I just try to be outside as much as possible, and I help people what I can with their, their books. And I started a podcast too.
Oh, good.
People like I've been in the publishing industry for a long time, and I finally wrote my first book after that last cancer. I'm like, okay, it's my time now. So that's kind of what I did.
So what's the name of your book, and where can people find it?
It's called, the first book is called Real Things, 6 Ways to Embrace Life.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Where can people get it?
That's on Amazon.
Okay.
And, if you go there, just Google my name, not Google, but on Amazon, or go to my website. And I've written a couple other books, and my most recent one is called Move for You, Empowering a Healthy, Happy Life Through Exercise, because I want people, especially people who have dealt with health issues, it does help with healing. It's really helpful. And I say move for you because it's not, you don't have to go run like me, but you got to just get up and walk simply, or go biking, go work in your garden, go swimming, dance in your kitchen while you're cooking, just things like that. And you just got to move and appreciate life while you're here. That's really
Great.
what it is.
So that is your giveaway. So how would you like to set that up? Do you want people to mention you, that they saw you here?
Yeah, that'd be
contact
perfect.
You. Okay.
They can mention me and I'll give them a free copy.
That's perfect. So GeminiMedia.com. What is it? Gemini?
I would go to my website, BrigitteCutshall.com, BrigitteCutshall.com.
Okay, great.
There's a form on there, in the last page, a contact page.
Perfect.
And that you could reach out to me, and I just like to help people. And we learn so much from each other's stories, right?
Yes.
And we provide, people want some value from that. And I made that book really simple. People who don't exercise regularly, who have read that, they're like, wow, they're just like, didn't realize, because I keep it simple, right? I think that's important. Keep things simple, because if you do too much at once, you're gonna quit, right?
Yep. So here's the thing, folks. Your life is up to you. I've said this over and over and over again, and we're getting that message again. Okay. The other thing I want to share with you is listen to yourself. Okay. Many of us have been taught for, ever since we can remember from our childhoods, that don't listen to ourselves, right? Some of us have had even messages, children are to be seen and not heard, keep your mouth shut. We know better than you, whatever the messages are, those are in the past. Okay. We can heal anything. Now that you are who you are and where you are and how old you are, now's the time to really embrace this moment and trust whatever it is next that you can trust. If you can't quite trust yourself yet, but you can trust the trees, you can trust the waters, you can trust your breath, you can connect to the earth, you can read a book and listen and absorb it, start from where you are. That's what I recommend. Start from where you are and reach out. Okay, here's another beautiful being who is here for the long haul, who is a mentor. So if you want a mentor in your diagnosis, in your challenges with your health, with your body system, whatever's going on, right? When your mental barometers, the places in your brain that are like, I don't quite know about that, reach out. Reach out to Brigitte, reach out to myself, get some support. Okay. We're here. Brigitte is, so you do media publishing. Is that what you're,
what it is, right? A lot
say?
of my, it varies on what the client needs. Some of them want me to, example, I have client who's a training company. And so they help me, or excuse me, have me manage their projects, because you need printed material for that. Because they don't, they trust me. I've known the founder for a long time. And there's so many changes in our industry, every industry, I think, because of tech. But I know I always pause. I didn't realize how detailed I was, right? And maybe that has a lot to do with just how I'm wired. But I always try to look at solutions, even in your media project, and even in, I always look at return. People, you hear about ROI a lot. I talk about return on ideas, not just investment, but on ideas too. And that's kind of why there's always not one solution to something. And you do need to talk to other people to get, it's something I learned too along the way, Pam. You can't do this by yourself.
Yes.
I'm guilty of trying to do that when I was younger. I'm guilty, but you can't. You've got to reach out, and it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to acknowledge that. And
absolutely, yes.
And that's when you learn so much. You're like, oh, okay, right? Because you didn't think about that. And I just got so excited about sharing my story. And it was my sons, by the way, Pam, that convinced me to do that, to share it on a blog.
That's
shared it.
Great. Yay for kids.
And my first blog post was about my brain tumor. And I shared the MRI image of the tumor in my head. And I'm just laughing. I can't believe I did that. That was brave. I'm like, I can't believe I did that.
That is brave.
But I called it, I think I titled it, "A Brain Tumor Does Not Define Me." I wasn't just going to feel sorry for myself. I was going to find a way. And I've always admitted that scared me more than the breast cancer diagnosis, because they didn't know what to do. But tech is technology can help you, but you have to be open to that. And I'm just so grateful. I don't know now, the weird stuff going on with insurance. That's another rabbit hole to go down if you have a health issue. That's why I believe in being proactive as much as possible. That'll help prevent things. But also, you can't prevent things 100%, but you're being proactive.
Absolutely.
And it's a quality of life as well, too.
Yes. And it's a mindset, folks.
Yes.
Okay. Here's the thing. Whatever diagnosis you get, it can either be a death sentence or it can be a life sentence. Okay. It really can. Don't take things at face value like, oh, it's got to be that way because that person said so. Your life is up to you, as I've said multiple times, and I will continue to say that. You are at choice in every area of your life. And allow yourself to listen. Listen deeply to your own wisdom. Listen to what every part of your body is telling you. And listen to the voices from beyond, those beautiful beings that are watching and caring for you, whether they're in physical form or they are in etheric form, and allow them to support you. We adore you. We are so happy that you've tuned in. And if you want to reach Brigitte, you can go to BrigitteCutshall.com and get her book, get her books, and find out how you can take control of your own life in your own way. We love you, and please tune in next week for another amazing broadcast of the Empower Me Show. Many blessings to you, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Empower Me Show with Pam Bright on Transformation Talk Radio. Tune in to learn more about living a fully empowered life. Remember that your life is up to you, and you can choose the spiritual path you are on. There is spiritual energy and wisdom in everything and everyone around you. Listen carefully for what the universe is trying to tell you in every moment. You are already being guided along your journey. Call upon your spirit guides anytime you need help with anything. Know that you are safe in every moment, even if it seems that you are not. For more information about Pam Bright, visit brightbutterflyenterprises.com or email theempowermeshow@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening. We hope to see you next week.